Triple Shot Mindset.
I've realized when I go out on dates, I am not my authentic self. As much as I try to be, I'm not. I make sure my hair is perfect. My collar is just right. Is it just right now?
What does just right even mean?
Everything looks right. My shirt is tucked in. It doesn't have any creases or whatever that's not supposed to have. I pre-plan what I'm going to talk about. I try to hold back on some of my sense of humor. I'm self-conscious to an extent. I'm self-aware. I'm hyper self-aware. And I go in there with a smile. Sometimes I try not to smile as much, even though it's part of my personality. Sometimes I try not to make jokes, even though it's part of my personality. Sometimes I try to be too serious so that people see I have a serious side. And I plan my every move, how I eat, how I drink, what I eat, what I drink.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you, like me, get the nerves, butterflies.
So I don't eat.
Yeah, same.
I do order food, but I'm like, I can't eat right now. So my point to this whole thing is, at least if I'm doing that 90% of the time, and the girl is doing it, I say 30%, not even 100%, then I'm liking a version of her that's inauthentic, and she's liking a version of me that's inauthentic.
Yep.
Or vice versa. I'm not liking her because of that inauthentic behavior, or vice versa. So what I've learned is that I don't like to go out on dates because I never know which version of her I'm going to get and which version of me she's going to get.
Mm-hmm. Would you say the version of you that you present, where do you get that? Because you said you smile less. Is that because you think smiling a lot and telling a lot of jokes and being goofy is not attractive? Like, how did you curate this image? Who did you base it on?
Well, when I go online and I read, articles, or I watch videos, and they talk about the ideal man. How was that? Strong?
Without the stevia, it's cool. The ideal man.
They talk about the ideal man, and the ideal man is often, he works out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He is a little bit mysterious. He has that look on his face.
Like a smolder.
Sure. He has a 5 o'clock shadow growing out. He has an attitude problem.
Do you let yourself get a little fivey?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's part of the... He has an attitude problem. That's so true.
Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And when I hear women talk about, oh, that's so hot, I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't smile as often. I'm not bringing in the sense of humor. I'm like sitting like there, like I have an attitude problem. Like, yeah, okay.
I cannot see being like that at all.
Me?
Yeah.
Of course, but I have to put on a show. And that's a problem with this whole...
Yeah, it is. That's why a lot of people don't like dating.
Yeah.
Because it's all calculated playbook stuff. The dudes are looking at and I'm just going heterosexual right now. The dudes are looking at the dude playbook. Mm-hmm. The women are looking at the women playbook. Like, something with cleavage, something that makes the waist look small. Fresh hair, got to get the nails done right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk too much. Don't be too, pushy or whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing that's all pre-calculated, premeditated. And yet somehow people think this is going to blossom some real connection.
And it doesn't, because when I actually start smiling on the second and third dates and I'm more myself, they're like, where was this version of you? Like, this is much better. This is what I wanted, not the first date impression. And so I realized that if you want to have a successful dating life, even a successful relationship, it has to go down to a place of being real. And the only time you can be real is if you're just friends with someone.
Yeah.
If
Why?
you don't have any expectations, if you don't have any romantic motive at that point, you can see them as who they are, and you can love that person at that moment because they're being real, they're being authentic, and your authentic self and their authentic self will match. Obviously, if they're the same personality and they like each other to some extent, the authenticity, I think, is more important than the facade we put on.
Why is it that friends can be real with each other? And
because they don't have any of that BS expectations of you got to be chivalrous, you got to do this, you got to do that. It goes out from me having to be certain things to me being who I really am. And if I'm my authentic self and I can smile at them and I can be a shoulder for them to cry on, I think that's more of a soul-to-soul connection than a facade of me having an attitude problem and she having a ton of makeup, and we pretend we have things in common and we pretend we laugh at the same jokes, because that's going to just lead to more distance in 2 months from now, in 6 months from now, in a year from now. And then she's going to turn around one day and say, you're not the same person I met. Like, you know.
I've seen this happen so many times. So I have a question then, because this brings up a whole other can of worms, and I don't even know my own opinion on this. Maybe I will by the end of this episode. But I've heard it. Can men and women just be friends?
I can.
Okay.
I can. And I think I'm just a small percentage of men that can do that, because the women that I know and I go out with, I look at them from a soul's perspective. I don't know if many people can do that. I look at their personality, I look at their soul versus the fake eyebrows or the fake lashes or the whatever.
Oh man.
And I suppress, thank you. And I suppress to some extent that initial sexual drive, because I want to know them for who they are, not just what they look at on the surface. So when I do that, and when I look at my friends and women friends, like I just see a soul.
Do you think, okay, I'm going to stop me at any moment, but in prior relationships, have you found that your partner has the same perspective of men and women just being souls? And have you ever felt like you had to limit your friendships with the opposite sex?
If I give into my primal needs, then at one point it's possible for that to happen.
So like the female friend starts becoming a sex object or a love interest.
Yeah. And I do let certain people in. And I do let my guard down for people that I like more than just friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make sure that they feel the same way about me. And I think maybe that's wrong sometimes, because if I don't take the lead on certain things and they don't take the lead, we're just going to waste time and just go through life being friends. And one day when it's too late, we're like, oh, by the way, I liked you a lot as more than friends. So I'm going to eventually have to step out of my friendship once I know it's to a point that it's cultivatable.
So if you're in a current romantic relationship right now with a woman, will you still have women friends?
Yeah. Yeah. But in case they are not okay with it, then I will put them on the back burner. I mean, I got to do that because I respect the person I'm with.
Got it.
And the same token, if she has like 20 guy friends who keep hanging out with her and calling her and texting her, I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah. What's the discrepancy
Yeah.
here?
Could you please, simmer down on that?
Do you feel like when you're in a relationship with somebody and they have male friends, I guess it depends on the individual. This is all hypothetical. But do you feel that you can be comfortable with that depending on how she behaves with them? Or would you say, hey, what's up with this?
I couldn't be comfortable with that. I mean, I'm being honest with you. I can't be comfortable with her having even 2 guy friends who are heterosexual. Now, if they're homosexual, great. Have 100 of them.
Because there's no threat that the friendship could develop into more.
But I think I'm at a stage of my life that I want to make sure that the person I'm with is on the same page as I am. And if that's going to be an issue for me or it's an issue for her, it's going to be an issue for me too. So I want to make sure that the friendship, because if we're friends and we talk about these things openly without any judgment, then I know what kind of person that person is.
Yep.
And if she has the same beliefs and same morals and same standards, and I'm attracted to them, then I can say, hey, by the way, there's some feelings here growing. What do you feel? And if she says, yes, me too, then we know that we're building it on a foundation of trust and friendship and all that. If she says, no, I still want to be friends, then I have not lost anything.
So in a scenario where people are doing online dating, and which everyone is doing nowadays, their thing is, I'm going to meet someone, and from the very first moment I meet them, I want it to be a relationship thing. They're missing out on the chance for friendship completely because they have all these expectations and predeterminations.
Yeah.
So are you saying the likelihood of that being a successful long-term relationship is lower? Because I read some statistics that said that the longest lasting relationships start as a friendship. That's like 2 to 5 years or more. And then it turns into a relationship. Statistically, those are the ones that turn into marriage and last the longest. Not people who are like, I like you, let's date. Right off the bat. Never have a chance to be friends.
I think once you do jump in a relationship after dating once or twice and tell the other person you love them, that's not true love. That is, you're loving them for who they make you feel like or what they make you feel like. So if I tell you I love you after the second date, that means because I have insufficiencies in my life. I have abandonment issues. I have all those different things going on. I feel like I'm not loved. I have low self-esteem. And the second you give me a compliment, I'm like, wow, I love this person. Because of how you made me feel.
So you're saying, I love the way you satisfy my needs.
Yeah.
Instead of I love you, if you translate that into truth, it'd be, I love the way you satisfy my needs.
Yeah.
But they don't even know the other person.
Yeah.
So I can't truly be saying I love you.
No, and I think that should be offensive to the person hearing it. Because how can you love me after like 2 dates? You love what I complete for you, the idea of me being in your life, but you don't really love me. So if Matthew Hussey is listening,
we love you.
We love you.
I don't know why I winked. God.
That's okay.
Thank you.
That's okay. And I made that mistake on my first date after getting out of a relationship.
You said I love you?
No, I didn't say I love you.
Okay.
But I started thinking that I love this person. And we had just talked like 3 weeks, and we've seen each other, and everything was going great. We held hands, we kissed, we all that. And I came in my car and I'm driving back. I'm like, whoa, man, I love that person. And the second she found out where my head was going, she put a stop to it. And for the first month after that, I was like broken. I was devastated. I'm like, how can she not want to be in a relationship with me? But I realized that she saw something that I should have seen, and that was that how can I love someone after less than a month and basing my future on how she completed me?
Yep.
And not me actually getting to know her and understand her and meet her needs. So to me, that was like a tough pill to swallow. But now that I know, even if I feel like something's creeping in, I ask myself, is that really love, or is it something that someone's providing for me that I still haven't resolved yet?
Good. I did the exact same thing in my last relationship. Phenomenal experience. I'm not mad at it. But it was 2 months and I was like, I love this person. In retrospect, I loved the idea of you complete me in all the ways I'd like to be completed. Yeah. Let me just push you right into the fantasy world in my mind.
Yeah.
Which is not really fair to the other person.
No.
And it's not fair to anyone, to yourself either.
Yeah.
So friendship as a foundation.
Yeah, that's huge.
How long? Because what about those of us who are desperate for love? Does
I
that mean
think
I have to
you
wait
gotta-
2 years? I gotta find someone, be their friend for 2 years. The long game.
The long game. I think, first of all, you got to learn to love yourself and be happy with yourself. And this past Valentine's Day was a huge wake-up call for all of us. Some of us more than the other ones. But I sat home and I was with my kids and I thought to myself, it's Valentine's Day. And I have all the love I need right here in this house with my kids. And even if the kids weren't there, I would just love myself. Not in a weird way.
Well, that's okay.
But I think if I am friends with someone, I wouldn't go like 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
I would gauge it after 6 months, after a year to see where we are. And if I'm still excited to think about them and I still get excited to talk to them and I still get excited of the opportunity to take it to the next level, then I'll bring it up.
So you're saying there's a friend there that you have an attraction to, because I'm trying to think of this from a person like me or anyone listening who doesn't have that person yet. You know what I mean? They're not already in their corner, an old friend. It's someone they have to go find and start a friendship with. So you find someone, you start a friendship with them. Then at the 6-month mark, you revisit it. Like, do I still feel chemistry? Like, is it a little more excitement than just friendship?
Yeah. If I connect with someone and I'm talking to them and I like if I connect with them deep down and it's more than just a connection friend to friend, I'm going to wait a good 6 months. Not that I'm going to write on my calendar, but I'm just going to observe it from a third party standpoint and see if this is the right time to bring it up. And if I see she's dating, I'm not going to obviously bring it up. I'm going to wait on it. I'm going to maybe find someone else to be a friend on the side.
Yeah. I think there's also room for dating just totally casually and saying, look, I have certain needs that I'd like to get met, but this doesn't have to be a long-term thing necessarily.
Yeah. So if you go in it being honest with yourself and the other person, in the meantime, keeping an eye out on the friend to see how she's doing, how she's progressing, and where she's in her life. And if you still have that chemistry and have that closeness and you still get excited about thinking about them or talking to them or seeing them, then I think it's a good time to approach it and explore that. And because I haven't gotten there yet, I don't know how the best way to approach that subject would be without losing that friend, because I don't want to lose a friend in the process. I'd rather have that friend than not have a romantic relationship with them, as much as I want to. But just knowing that it may be rejected and it may change the course of that friendship, then so it's tough. I got to read the signs. I got to listen. I got to make sure I'm alert and do it at the right time or not do it at all.
I'm just checking the time.
And
we got 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Nice. So one of the times that you were sitting here, I don't want to draw attention to you.
Do it. I'm scared.
I remember you were on the phone and we're writing our story for a TV series.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. We were writing a story.
Oh, is this the I love you, babe? I love you, babe.
My God. The amount of time.
I know.
The amount of time that this woman on the phone said, I love you, babe.
Yeah.
In a period of 2 minutes, I kid you not, 45 times. Okay, it was like this. Oh, babe, I love you. Oh, yeah, I'm going to see you today, babe. I love you. What? You want Chinese food? I love you, babe. Oh, babe, you're so... I'm like, dude.
Yeah, your face was turning green, for sure.
Like, what are you doing?
Okay, yeah. No, that was totally... And here's what I've realized from that experience and more. Where to begin? In that, I think when there are fundamental substance pieces that are missing, I fill in the gaps with like reaffirming, reassuring, like extra affection, like, oh babe, like there's so much touch and so much, like you're just trying to generate something out of nothing. And a lot of times I can feel someone's anxiety I think you're probably similar in this
Oh,
way.
heck yeah.
Some of us can sense the partner's anxiety or discomfort, and you try to assuage it, mellow it out,
What's that word?
remove it,
Assuage?
ameliorate. You try to make it go away with like extra.
You gotta speak English.
Okay.
You're talking to a Middle Eastern man.
You try to make the anxiety go away with extra reassurance.
Okay.
So it's like a lot of "I love you, babe," whatever. To get a call at work is already an anomaly, a rare occurrence, unexpected. So, and then to sense their anxiety on the phone, you're like, okay, I've got to give it extra. But in the end, it's not authentic. I mean, the "I love you, babe," it's a real expression, but you can wear it out.
I think the first time you said it, it was like cute.
Yeah. But then like 45 times later.
And then when you're like, why is she saying it so many times? And I thought to myself,
he was saying it too, for the record, on the
Okay.
other time. So I didn't
so
want
I
to
was
just be
thinking to
like
myself,
listening.
no, I was thinking to myself, because I have friends who you go to their house, they're married. As you're walking up to their house, you can hear them yelling, "You son of a bitch, you're the whore." Like, wow, like, should I even knock on the door and go in? Are they expecting us at like 7 o'clock? They did say 7 o'clock and it's 6:59. Why are they still fighting? And you knock on the door and all of a sudden they go quiet. And they open the door. "Hey, how are you guys? Come on in. Hey, babe. Love you, babe. Yeah, I love you, babe." And they start going into this "love you, babe" kind of a thing in between themselves. "Hey, babe, did you ask Ardavan what he wants to drink?" "Yeah, I love you, babe. Yeah, I just asked him, love you, love you." You know that they're trying to fill a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you say it and the more you try to, like, hug it out, there's still fundamental cracks in that armor that they're trying to glue together with those words of affirmation, but it's not going to last.
Preach it. If looking back, I can see that was like a month prior to
Breaking up.
that was the beginning of the end. That whole thing. It's like maybe everyone feels it differently. Maybe some people do it with like sex. Maybe some people do it with gifts. Maybe some people do it with extra attention. For me, it's all about the words. I'm a words of affirmation gal. But I'd say red flag, self-awareness note, when you start to go overboard or match and exceed their energy to an extreme,
Yeah.
check it.
Yeah. So do you think if you would have been friends with this person?
We never would have had a romantic thing.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. So when I go out with women and they say that the guy says, "Let's go to my place and have sex," because I want to gauge to see how I feel like physically with you or how compatible we are physically. I asked the woman, because a couple of women I went out with, they had that issue with men. I'm like, and did they gauge their emotional needs with you first for the first few months and see how that goes? And then their intellectual needs. And then physical needs would be the cherry on top, or do they go physically first? And all the women I talk to, they say that the man wants to go physically first. And they date them for a few times and they break up with them. And to me, that's really odd, because as a man, yes, maybe physical needs would come first. But as a woman who would let that happen, like, I question why. I question why you would let a man have his way with you without any sense of knowing you, asking the right questions, understanding where you are, what your traumas are, what your triggers are. Like, I want to find out what this person has gone through. Why are they single? What happened in their previous relationships? And I don't want to repeat the same mistake. So if she says, "Oh, my husband did this and that," or "My wife did this and that," then I want to know that how my approach should be different.
So the women, I think the answer is obvious in that I think women will, if they get to a certain point of maybe desperation, will say, I don't need to care about my emotional needs. Let's just dive in. If I perform well physically and he likes it, I'm pretty much in. We're good. We're hooked. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully the emotional stuff will work itself out.
Yeah.
I also think other women have convinced themselves, and maybe it's true for some women, that physical is just as important for them and emotional is no big deal and they can let that work itself out. I think it's also strange that men want to have sex the very first time to determine if a romantic relationship is
right? Because when you're on I think men and women are different in a way that when I used to go on a dating app, like the first time I went on a dating app after 15 years of being with someone, you go on there, you're like, wow, like I get to pick and choose. Oh, this one, yep, this one. And I think a man says, I do her, I do her, I do her, I do her, I do. And that's how their selection process is. Mm-hmm. Me, for the first time, I'm like, oh, wow, look, this one, that one, brunette, blonde, redhead. And I started reading their bios. I started reading their answers to the little questions they have. And once you go past the first picture and you start reading what these people are looking for, then you're going to be a little bit more careful as who you swipe right on. So most men, because most men, they don't get any woman, swiping right on them. Statistics have it that I think 8 out of 10 women get swiped right on. Only 1 or 2 men get swiped right on out of 10. And so you get to a point that you have to play the numbers game. So for men, yep, do her, do her, do her, do her, do her, do her. And that's what their mind is telling them. Because physiologically, they're just wired to reproduce.
Yeah, very visual.
Yeah, women, on the other hand, I think they're much more sensitive towards who they're going to let into their circle, especially if they've been married and out of a relationship. So that's why they only swipe 1 or 2 people out of 10. And because they read the bios, they look at your pictures. A lot of women have told me, I like you because of the way you smile. There's a pureness inside your soul. They say you have kids and you have a good time with your kids. They say you look like you're passionate about what you're doing. Like I have a picture of me doing a podcast. For women, I look at the same things. I see how they are in a picture with their kids. How they are, if they're doing a yoga pose, is it just doing it for show, or is she's really like caring about her body? So I look at those things. I look at the education. I look at I ask them, one of the first things I ask women on the dating apps, and everyone tells me you just went for the jugular, is I say, how long have you been divorced or out of a relationship? Why are you here? And what are you looking for? And a lot of women don't like me asking that question right off the bat because they're not used to it.
Yeah. Because you, it sounds like, have prioritized the emotional connection over the physical. And you're saying 90% of men are prioritizing the physical over the emotional.
Yeah.
So women either adapt to that and they're like, okay,
that's how men are.
We'll do the physical first then for you. Or maybe not. Maybe the woman is like, yes, physical first. I don't want to judge and say all women are one way, but generalizing. So when they meet someone like you who's prioritized the emotional over the physical, maybe their whole playbook, just like you were saying, when you go on a date, you have a playbook, they have a playbook, it's all pre-rehearsed. Maybe their playbook was based on the man who's going to prioritize the physical. So they're like, I didn't prepare a playbook for the man who's prioritizing the emotional.
Yeah. There's one woman I was speaking to a couple of months ago, and she teaches at UCLA.
Ugh.
Okay, that's...
No, I'm just kidding.
USC, yeah.
I'm a Trojan.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. Go.
All right. So
Bruins.
she teaches at UCLA, and I can get more detail than that. I think I've said too much, but
great school.
Yeah. And she was saying top 3 things men ask me, and she's very good looking. Top 3 things men ask me that you decide not to ask me, and she said that's why I'm going to go out with you. 1, they send me a dick pic.
Oh, that's not a question.
Or it's a comment. Right? She said,
you like this as a question.
She said one of the first people that didn't send me a dick pic was you.
People are still doing that above the age of 35. That's shocking.
The other one was, you don't take pictures of yourself in front of a mirror, topless, or next to a car, or next to a home you don't own.
Oh.
Okay, so that's my second thing I got going for me. And third of all was a question that I asked her. She said, people usually ask me, where would you like to go eat? What do you like to do for fun? Which is important to me too. But those questions are all leading to, when can I get into bed with you? or what position do you like, and all that stuff.
Oh.
And for me, it was like, tell me the 3 things you've learned from your last relationship. Tell me 5 things you want in your new partner. Throw me some Matthew Hussey, tips.
Yes, I love that.
Matthew Hussey. And so anyway,
I winked again.
when I ask those questions, I'm now the odd man out because no one else really asks those questions. And so they don't know how to react to me. And 8 out of 10 of them will, after that question, they will detach, or what's that thing called in the dating app? Disconnect. Because maybe I asked a question that they weren't ready to answer.
That many people disconnect?
Yeah.
80%?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is on a 2 to 3 or a smaller number. I don't do
so
math,
so one of them said, I'm going
lot.
to answer these questions, but I don't think that you're the right person for me. And I said, why? She's like, because I'm looking for someone who's not looking that far ahead. And I think that's a problem with, I didn't say I love them. I didn't allude to the fact I want to marry them.
Did you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because after my first date, I learned not to do that.
Yeah.
But I think asking those questions, I want to know if the person's single, if, what they learned.
Yeah.
If I'm even in the right ballpark as far as personality, in what they're looking for. But the lady said, I'm going to answer your questions, but I don't think you're the right person for me because you're looking too far ahead. I'm looking to have fun first. So when I look at women over 35, over 40, who want to have fun, who prioritize a short-term relationship, a fling over a long-term relationship, and you see that it says, do you have kids? They say no. Are you open to kids? Yes. When are you planning on having that kid?
Yeah. Maybe they've frozen their eggs.
Biologically, you cannot. I'm even at an older age, like I'm 50. I don't know how I'm running around 2 little kids. It's tiring.
Yeah.
So when women prioritize short-term relationships, they're not sure if they want to have kids. They want to just have fun.
Yeah.
That's not the right person for me.
So it's like they never got, they and I think this is true for a lot of women, they didn't get their party girl era, so they're getting it now.
Yeah.
That definitely makes them not a match for you right away.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like
I didn't get a party phase era either. I'm not, I don't have it in me to I experimented with 100 people before I got married. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But there's something about a deep soul connection that trumps any physical need. Not that I don't want it. Of course I want, every person wants it. But I prioritize a connection over physical needs first.
So then
physical needs is second, but
at least you know your order.
Yeah.
So then takeaway, because now we're just hitting the adios mark. That means goodbye in Spanish. The takeaway is then find someone with the same values right away. Establish that you are on the same page.
And both of you have to want friendship as a foundation.
Yeah. Well, that's a value, right?
That's a value, but that has to be spoken out because if I tell people I'm here and I want to be your friend first, then both of, you look at her, her shoulders drop a little bit. She gets, oh my God, okay, this is good.
She relaxes.
Yeah. And I get to relax. And I get to make my stupid little jokes. And she can laugh at them without judging me.
That's beautiful.
Triple Shot Mindset.